Hi Nym fam, I hope you're all good. Welcome back to the FPL Late Show. We've been trying to get our heads around these daylight saving hours for myself and Meera. We're still in need of a little switch up potentially, so bear with us on that. But as you can see, I am joined by my regular host Meera and our guest host Bethany, whom we've been trying to get on the show for a little while now. So welcome Bethany. How is your season going?
It's been a bit of a whirlwind. The start was terrible. I was stuck kind of around the 4 million mark for what seemed like forever at the start of the season. Managed to push towards the top million for the World Cup. But then after the World Cup, everything seemed to get a lot better. And I finally made it into the top 100k and hoping to stay there.
Nice, well done. See, my season was the exact opposite.
Oh no!
Yeah, I was doing really, really well until the World Cup, and then I kind of just like boom, fell off a cliff. And I think I'm slightly clawing my way back now. But Meera, thank you for getting up so early. How are things with you?
Good morning. Yeah, good. Aside from getting up at, I think when my alarm went off at about almost 4:45 this morning, I was like, what on earth am I doing?
You've been very kind friend.
But look, yeah, we're still getting used to the daylight savings and all of that, totally sort of still adjusting to that. But yeah, no, I'm doing really, really well, actually. Yeah, it's been a couple of weeks, and of course we've got a guest host as well. Yeah, so really, really excited about this show.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a good one. And we've switched the format up a little bit. So we're going to start with the goals and gossip segment. So, Meera, what do we reckon?
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, I mean, the team of the week, it was an interesting one, wasn't it? So for this segment, we take a look at the team of the week and we try and work out which ones were our goals. So who we think are, rock stars that we should probably think about having in our teams, or gossip that we should be totally avoiding, or they could be trolling us as well, because I've had a few of those this season so far. So Bethany, we'll go to you first. Like, what do you reckon, like, from goals and gossip? Let's pick our goals first.
I mean, I think Crystal Palace have made it in there, and I just think what a surprise. But like 5-1 against Leeds, I think they're definitely someone to be targeting. Obviously Leeds is in that relegation battle along with half the teams this year, and Palace have got some great fixtures against other relegation teams coming up. So I think they're definitely someone I'd look at targeting.
Yeah. Do you want to pick someone from like the team of the week that we've got?
Oh yeah, give me 2 seconds because I can't see it.
I think if you're
okay.
Palace people, we've got Ayew and Elise.
Yeah, I think Elise is definitely somebody that I'd be looking for. Definitely. I think he's I can feel like he might be more consistent. Going in future. So yeah, I think Elise would be my choice.
Nice.
Yeah.
How about you, Nym?
Oh, well, it's one of those ones where it's we always get a few surprises in the team of the week, don't we? I think Grealish is probably the kind of outstanding pick. I know we'll talk about him a little bit more in our kind of hot topics of the week, but I think he's probably going to be a goal for many. A few surprises. Yeah. as I do think also that Martinelli will be as well. So they're probably the two standouts. Anybody you're thinking of actually going with, Meera?
Yeah, I was going to say, like I think Martinelli and Grealish for me definitely sort of they're both I don't have in my team. I feel like Martinelli's been trolling me a little bit as well because I brought him in. He wasn't doing very well. I think I had him in like from the very beginning and then got rid of him. Bought in Odegaard and then had Saka and then shifted around again and now I've just got Saka in my team and I've got Martinelli just scoring week after week and I'm thinking, what on earth did I do?
I know.
Switching him out, but I know what's going to happen, right? He's going to be the guy for me this season who I will bring in and he'll stop scoring.
Exactly the same for me. Yeah, exactly the same.
I think there's a lot of us in that boat, except like possibly the people in my mini league who seem to have somehow managed to keep Martinelli, and I'm there going, like, why? How? This is not fair. Yeah, I'm like the only one I think in my whole mini league
that's
actually switched him out, and it's just really frustrating.
Yeah, I think someone else that I've got a bit of an eye on, mostly for my free hit rather than like a long term plan. But I quite like Billing. I think. Bournemouth. I think they're going to stay up. I'm one of the people that think that they're going to make it, and he just seems to have got some form at the moment. So I think he's quite a fun pick, especially just for like a 1 week punt. When it comes to free hit, if you've got a free hit, I'm not sure I've got enough room in my midfield for him like as a permanent feature because there's so many midfielders at the moment.
Hard. Yeah,
for that 1 week, hard. I mean, quite nice.
Because if you look at the goals and I mean, if you look at the team of the week, right, we've got 5 sitting there in midfield, and so that's going to be the premium spots at the moment. So it's going to be pretty tough. But what about gossip? So Bethany, what do you reckon from a gossip point of view? Who should we be probably looking at and not really considering too much?
I mean, so like there's the defenders for the team like this week are just, apart from Pope I don't mind, but the other 3 are just people that I just wouldn't be considering at all. Again, Wolves and West Ham, neither of them are doing particularly well at the moment, so I think I'd probably be avoiding their defenders unless you're really kind of stretched for cash and they're the only ones you can afford. I'd probably be looking elsewhere, or probably not even using my transfers up on defenders. I think I'd rather kind of attack my midfield and attacking spots. I think that's where the points are going to be at the moment. So I'd probably be avoiding them.
How about you, Nym? Anyone in particular over there that you're like, nah, hell no?
I was kind of hoping, this like rant TV here, I was kind of hoping Zuma would be on here so that I could be literally anyone who's bought him, I'm going to just disown you because, you are supporting animal cruelty on all levels. So, I thought I was kind of hoping I could go down that rant. But thankfully he didn't do well enough. Goal was too good for him. So I'm kind of with you ladies. Just the Semedo I think is probably I think it's tough with the Malacia situation because most of us have Shaw and we don't really know what's going on there with him. It was an injury, then Ten Hag kind of alluded to something being personal about it all, which was quite confusing and a bit kind of like, so is it a personal issue or is it an injury or both? A personal injury. We don't really know what's going on there, do we? So I think there's, with would you go Malacia if Shaw was out? I guess potentially you could if you hadn't. If you were wildcarding maybe this week. But it's tough to know whether to do that without knowing the situation on Shaw, really, isn't it?
So tricky. He's not in the squad tonight, just as a... so he's not even on the bench.
I was wondering that, okay. I was actually going to throw something controversial in there and say that the Palace sort of, I guess, like the hot topics that we're going to go on to fairly soon anyway. But there's a bunch of Palace players that got loads of goals as well. So RU is on there as well. So realistically, I don't think we should be considering too many Palace players or any at all. Or we should only be considering one, maybe, if that, depending on where you've got your spot available in your team. But yeah, there could be goals and gossip, really, all of those lot.
That's very, very true. Because
Leeds were terrible.
Yeah, exactly. They were, which is worrying when I don't have Salah. Or away to Salah easily this week. So yeah, that is.
Shall we, on that note,
yeah,
move on to hot topics?
Absolutely. Cool. Okay. So our first one has to be, should we buy Jack Grealish? It's on all the content creators' lips. There are videos all over the place. Despite his blank in a game week 32, you know, do we think he's worth still getting in our teams? Bethany, would you like to this?
I may be slightly biased because I brought him in last week, and he did really well for me. I swapped Maddison to him last week, so he's already done enough for me. But I think like Leicester are doing terrible at the moment. City have obviously got the double coming up, but I think it probably does depend on whether you've got that free hit or not, because buying more players that don't play in the blank is probably not the best idea, and maybe you just need to wait for him until the double if you don't have that free hit. Otherwise, I'd definitely be going for him.
Yeah, I agree. It's difficult. I mean, he's been so consistent this season. We've had 5 goals and 8 assists out of him, and 2 goals and 2 assists in the last 2 games. And as you say, he has those, he has Leicester up next, which he could absolutely destroy. But then he does blank, and I don't know about the Arsenal game. I want to say we'll do well there, but Man City are just a different beast, and they are definitely back on it now. And I've just got to hope, I guess, that it'll be fire with fire like the Liverpool game, because I can't see us defending to keep the likes of Grealish or Haaland out. So it's just going to be a who can outscore who, I think, in that particular match. And we've just got to hope that we get a little bit lucky, and that Xhaka can hold his nerve a little bit, not get any stupid cards this particular time. So it's tough, like Bethany said with the blank. It definitely kind of full on nails you to free hitting in game week 32, unless you're somebody who has set up your team where you're not free hitting in 32, but you've been aware of that for some time, and you have the transfers maybe to have a punt on Grealish until then, and then switch him out. But I mean, if you have been that organised, then kudos to you. I'm not one of those people.
It's a huge psychological battle, isn't it? So like at the moment, everyone on Twitter is talking about, and bearing in mind the Twitter, I guess the Twitter community is quite small as well, like in the grand scheme of things. So, if I was talking to friends and family about it who are not on Twitter, they'll probably say, why are you thinking about Grealish? Whereas the Twitter community feels like a lot bigger than what it is, but everyone's talking about it. So you're going to have to like work out, do you want to like give into the FOMO that you have or not, at that point? And you're absolutely right, Nym. Like if you've got a strategy of, free hitting in 32, then sure, fair enough, go wild on your blank players and try and get them in, make the most of, game week 31 that we've got coming up. Or you're going to have to try and sort of fill that gap with some of the better players like the Arsenal players, right? And so I'm in an interesting sort of place where I really want like one extra Arsenal midfielder, so someone like Martinelli.
Yeah.
Although I don't want to break him either.
Just if you're going to buy him in, don't break him for us. To do the whole Meera Sparkles thing that you do.
Jazz hands. No, I'm actually free. I'm probably going to be free hitting in 32. So for me, you know, and for many others who are also thinking about a free hit in 32, they're not going to mind bringing in Grealish or even players like Gundogan, and you know, there's others as well that people are considering. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that sort of pans out.
I know a name that nobody's really talked about, and that's KDB. Like, I haven't seen him anywhere, and you know, and he looked just as good in the previous game, and I think he got an assist as well. So you know, I think he's one. I think it's just his price. But if you think that most of us are thinking that we'll be moving on to Salah anyway, I mean, it's so strange, isn't it? How we've gotten psyche. I guess it's because somebody like Grealish allows us to keep hold of Kane an extra week for this particular fixture, and then we can downgrade him and then upgrade a Bruno potentially if we wanted to. But it's interesting you said about Martinelli, because I'm kind of really tempted by him, and I think what it does for me is it gives me the license in a little bit further down the line to potentially keep Bruno and to make Salah instead, because I've still then got an Arsenal asset in my team. And whilst it's a single game week, how many times have we loaded up on double game week players and the single game week players have have outscored? So that's kind of in my mind. Because I can't believe how much he's fired off. We were all so worried about him potentially losing minutes to Trossard, and that just and Trossard wasn't particularly bad either when he played. You know, he did pretty well for us. So it was all a bit of a shock to us that he kind of didn't really start sharing those minutes with Martinelli. And I think that Arteta has run back to the security of what he knew earlier on in the season a little bit.
I think now that Jesus is back as well, rather than Nketiah, I think I saw a stat recently of the number of big chances Martinelli had while Nketiah was on the pitch was, I don't know, say 2 in 6 games, whereas without him it was kind of 9 in 6 games or something. It was significantly different. So yeah, Jesus being back is much better for Martinelli, I think, too.
Yeah, Simon says that Beth never buys Salah. I think they must have had a falling out in a supermarket somewhere, or he stole her sweets as a child. Talk us through this.
Okay. I do sometimes buy Salah. Last year I bought Salah. I started the season with Salah. But Liverpool have just been so disappointing from an FPL perspective this year. So I started the season with triple Liverpool. I had Trent, I had Robbo, I had Salah. Wildcarded in game week 3 to get rid of Trent and Robertson because I couldn't cope with their lack of clean sheets any more than 2 weeks. And then
you don't get them in for clean sheets.
And then, they weren't doing anything though. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, I think I got rid of Salah as well. I was one of the first people to get rid of Salah. So he is actually probably my transfer. I know we'll talk about transfers later. So he is probably my transfer later this week. Ooh. But I haven't been his biggest fan this year, and which is I do feel bad because actually he hasn't done that terribly when you look at like numbers.
No,
he just hasn't
I was just looking at
terribly
that
compared to him. It's like how well he's done previously. We just have high expectations.
And he's sitting 5th out of the midfielders, right, on 166 points. And Martinelli's sitting at top with 175. So it's not that bad.
Nothing in it. No,
but for the price tag, I get it.
But for 6 million or 12 million or 13 million, it feels different. And when we're used to him doing hat tricks every game, and him being miles ahead of everybody else, it feels big.
Yeah, well, let's discuss Liverpool a little bit then, because and Salah a little bit, because he has missed those two penalties recently.
Yeah,
does that make you more nervous to own him at all?
No, personally, no. But I have bias there. Like, I'm a Liverpool supporter, and I'm a huge, Salah fan as well. Yeah, I think that. I think we know, like, the whole season, they've not quite been there. There's been a lot of, like, confidence, issues there as well. And they had a massive high last season with so many, cups that they were involved in as well. And And we've had loads of issues from injuries and, you know, just generally psychological sort of stuff going on in the team. And so there's been a lot happening. And so this season does definitely feel like a bit of a write-off, you know, as you can see. But in terms of like the fixture run coming up and the confidence levels sort of increasing, and they are, you know, different beasts when they're working, you know, when they're sort of playing home anyway. So yeah, look, it's not been great. We're only down to what, 7 game weeks left now, 8 game weeks left,
Yeah,
including 31.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I think it's a good opportunity to load up a little bit on the Liverpool players, just going into their double in 34 and then the general fixture run that they've got. They will be aiming for some European, you know, matches and involvement next season anyway. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting run of, you know, what the top 4, 5, 6 look like. Yeah, I feel quite confident that Salah won't lose his pens either. I think it's going to be more of a, you know, a chat with Salah and sort of make sure that, you know, yeah, I think just working on that and getting the confidence back up. And
I've seen a few people
joke
that Klopp will just go, so Salah, do you want to carry on taking the penalties? And he'll say yes, and they'll go, okay then.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. It's Salah, you know. He's been the top scorer, and it's only Haaland who recently sort of, you know, started to match and move further in the number of Premier League goals scored and so forth. So yeah, look, it'll be fine, I reckon.
And they managed to match Arsenal. They managed to match Arsenal 2-2 the other day, which has got to be one of the hardest fixtures of the.
I was on the floor, Beth. I was on the floor. I was at the telly, on the floor, on my hands and knees, like absolutely, like living the moment. I swear, my blood pressure goes through the roof in difficult games, and it was the same actually with the United match a couple of weeks ago. That was just as insane, and it's mad because I forget those feelings because it's been so long since having that kind of where it's meant something so much, you know, and there's been that real pressure for us to actually do well. So yeah, and I keep go on.
I was going to say, but what about like other Liverpool players as well? Because Salah, is on everyone's minds, you know, at the moment. I definitely have some Salah FOMO. But are you thinking, Nym, about bringing any other Liverpool players in a little bit earlier?
Yeah, so you know how I love my boy Gakpo. He's kind of been in my thought process, but I would have liked him to have done something a little more recently just to have the confidence to go in him. And the other thing is, I was assuming, or I guess hoping, that Diaz would be back by now and somehow in the picture. I don't know what's going on there or where he is, but I guess I was kind of hoping we'd get around this stage and there'd be a few more slightly cheaper Liverpool assets, you know, like there are at Arsenal, that we could be looking to instead of just feeling like the only option is Salah or a defender. It's just, you know, Darwin, he's Darwin, isn't he? he looks so good every match.
Yeah, and he'll get there. You know, I mean, think about Jack Grealish last season, right?
Yep.
Like we were all sort of like, what the hell, 100 mil was it? And you know, what's going on there? And you know, this season, obviously, we've got Darwin sort of really getting going, and I reckon, you know, there'll be some fine tuning going on over there, and he'll come out really good. And I think PSP is just asking, like, what do we think about Jota? And I reckon he could get a start against Leeds on the weekend. But yeah, Jota's looking really good. He's back. Diaz is training again, so we might get some minutes from him as well. In fact, you know, like it seems like everyone could start firing soon in that front line. So there's Firmino still, you know, his last season as well. But Jota, Diaz, Gakpo, like through the middle and through the sides, there's a couple of options there now. So it'll be interesting to see how they start sort of stacking up. And Have to agree about like the defense though. Like I absolutely love Robbo and Trent. And I am thinking about one of them, to bring in ahead of game week 34 as well, or even on my free hit. Not sure yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked how Trent was playing against Arsenal and just coming in, playing that inverted role.
Man cannot defend. The man cannot defend for his
Play in
life.
midfield. Go for it.
And I
Get
love
the points. Give
absolutely,
us more points.
absolutely. But I just love how in previous seasons everyone just completely kind of overlooked the fact that he couldn't defend for the fact that we were all just getting so many points from his attacking threat, and that everyone else was doing great at defending. So we just accidentally get some clean sheets for him as well. But yeah, man cannot. That was clearly obvious in that Arsenal match. It's just that he really struggles to defend, and that's fine. It's absolutely fine. Like, we love an attacking defender in the FPL world, don't we? So yeah, it's all
and
good.
a bit of out of position playing. I don't mind that.
No.
Go for it.
No, it's just his price, isn't it? It's just his price. Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough fit. So I guess, Bethany, it's probably a good time to discuss about like which premiums we go for and how we do potentially fit them all in, and do we? Are you going to have them all? I know you've got an insane TV, which surprised the heck out of me.
Yes,
surprised even me when I worked it out. Do
you want to tell? Yeah, tell everyone like what's your TV?
Give me 2 seconds. I worked it out yesterday. I'll find the message.
Yeah,
it was like 107. Like
yeah,
it was something around 107. Yeah, I've got something like 101 at the moment, and then 6 million in the bank.
That is mad.
Because I've only got the 2. Yeah, which is crazy. Like, I tend to do a lot of go early on transfers early in the season, to try and get that kind of team value and get ahead while you can. But I didn't realise until talking to a few people yesterday, you included, how much of a difference I'd made, and kind of it was like 2 or 3 million difference between other people.
So Bethany's just like, I'll have all the premiums. Just have them all.
So premium wise, Haaland is a keeper for me for the rest of the season, but he's probably the only one. My plan is kind of to hop around 3 of them, so to always have 3, which I can afford to do. I haven't got Bruno at the moment, so which makes Salah easier for me this week. So it means I can do somebody, I can do like Rashford up to Salah this week, with that money in the bank. And then my plan is to keep probably Kane for most of it, apart from when maybe there's a double and I'd like somebody like KDB or Bruno or Salah instead. And then kind of the rest of the season kind of hop between them and kind of do all my focus on premiums as being my transfers. And kind of getting the best out of their fixtures. That's my plan.
Do you want to look after my trading portfolio?
I know it's me, like I was like, I've got loads of money in the bank. Me, like I've been like hopping on all the trends. Bethany comes in with a 107. I'm like, I did a video about the most like the like biggest value team in FPL just last week, and you are right up there with that. Honestly, you are. I think they had something like 107, 108. So fair dues. Fair dues.
Mine is awful. I think I've only got like 101. 101, really? 102 maybe, if that.
That's because you've been trading your money for points, you know.
I have.
You know, where you're sat, you don't need money. You spent it to get to the penthouse, and you're just loving life up there. Cool.
Yeah, no one's knocking on the door either, damn.
Yeah, just leave them outside, it's fine. Although Bethany will be able to buy her way up there soon with you.
Soon.
Cool. Okay, let's move on to our team chat then, I guess. As Bethany alluded to some of her transfers there. So, Bethany, would you like to talk us through your team a little bit?
Yep. So I'm coming off the back of a -8. So like I said earlier, bringing Grealish in last week. So I did Maddison, who I was just fed up with. I'd had him for 4 weeks and I got 1 assist, even though he'd had really lovely fixtures. So I thought Bournemouth would do quite well. So I thought, get ahead. So I went from Maddison to Grealish. I did Isaac to Haaland, which was always the plan. Isaac was my kind of punt while Haaland was out. It was always the plan to go back. Obviously, Isaac scored, but I got Haaland and his captaincy as well. So I did that, and then I also did Me to Mings, which was based off Shaw. Shaw being out and me wanting to have a different defender, basically. So that was my transfers last week, which saw me kind of get up to 81k.
Nice.
And so now I'm looking at now that Rashford's definitely confirmed out, I'm looking at bringing in Salah for Rashford, with the intention of probably going back to Rashford. Hopefully, if he's fit again for the double, I'll move Saka on at that point once Saka's had his nice fixtures the next couple. But I'm also tempted in a defender transfer, maybe for a -4, just because I'm looking at my defence and I'm not particularly keen. I've got like Mings and Trippier who are both playing each other, and I think both teams could score. I've got Shaw sat, whether he'll play or not, don't know.
With his personal injury.
I've got Chilwell, who knows? He looks amazing on the pitch. Hasn't got any points for me for the last 3 weeks. Last week he didn't even start.
Got a red card last night.
He got a red card last night, which could mean, oh yes, he'll definitely play, or he's out because everyone's annoed with him.
Yeah, exactly.
No idea what to do. So yeah, so I think potentially Rashford to Salah is a definite move I'm going to make this week. But I may end up moving Chilwell either to a City defender, or maybe a punt on a Palace defender.
Nice. What I'm interested in here is that you've currently got Watkins benched. Now, at the moment, I'm playing him, and I have the exact midfield, except that I have Bruno instead of Grealish. So, just talk me through that one a little bit. Your thought process there with Watkins.
It's more so he's playing Newcastle, and I'm playing Trippier, so it's kind of I don't really know.
Yeah,
I've got to bench somebody, and I don't really know who else to bench. So it's not really
the Brighton lads Watkins. Are just a headache at this point, aren't they? You love them for their points, but like it's. Let's be honest, we all thought we'd be able to bench them fairly easily during these types of fixtures, and then just be like, yeah, sure, if you get something brilliant in the double game week, then fantastic, but otherwise, don't worry about it, lads.
and you know that they're like, if you bench one of them, you'll bench the wrong one.
I did that this week.
It's just easier to play both of them and at least know, because I think they'll score against Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea haven't been terrible defensively, so I don't think they're going to get their 3 or 4 that they have got recently against a few teams. But I do think they'll get at least one. So it's quite likely that one of them will get a goal or the assist. But which one?
It'll be the one week we play them both. That the one we don't have will be the one we don't own.
That's it, exactly.
I can't believe we have Arsenal and Brighton doing this to us this season, though. Like
crazy.
The Arsenal mids, Brighton mids, and you're like, oh my god, which 3 do you pick?
I know, it's just insane. And yeah, I had Matoma in a march on my bench last week. It was just like, oh, can you actually believe it? It's just, yeah.
So yeah, it's nothing against Watkins, and he may change before the deadline. It's not set yet.
Yeah.
It's tough. Yeah, we'll see.
It is. I think, yeah, I don't know. There's something about Ollie being at home that makes me think that
and they've been so good recently.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Well,
maybe go for it and just hope Trippier gets an attacking return.
Just before we quickly switch on to mine, absolutely set on Haaland captaincy.
I think so. I just think, like, look at what he did last week. He can do that so easy. He can get a brace, he can get a hat-trick, and it's not like he's playing a difficult team.
Yeah.
And I think I am one of those people that do care about EO and ownership, and he's going to be over 100%, and I don't see the point when I'm in a comfortable position now. I think if I was chasing, it's a bit different. If you're still a long way from where you want to be and you need to make up the ground somehow, then captaincy is sometimes the way to do it. But I think where I'm fairly happy with if I finished where I am now, I'd be okay. So I think probably just sticking with the favourite option when there's nothing stand out to go against this week.
Cool. Okay. While I chat about my team, I don't know what's happened, but your camera seems to be pointing up into the sky. Your head seems to be disappearing a little bit on my screen. Yes.
Oh,
there we go.
Because
That's
I seem
better.
like... Oh,
there we go.
it's really odd. Still
Cool.
look in the middle for mine. Sorry.
That's okay.
Oh,
You're all
yeah.
good. You're all good. Right. So here is my team currently. I am currently playing Watkins over March. That is not set in stone. It is tough this week. I have Henry, and he's
That
one
was
of the ones.
tentative.
Yeah, annoying because I played him during the double and then he got the assist last week. So I had both March and Henry on my bench last week with points, which was really, really annoying. And I think it's one of those ones where I think I felt like I was actually considering playing him and then just kind of didn't because I just thought, well, Newcastle are slightly better defensively, and so it was an annoying one. Just as I was really considering playing March instead of Bruno, but of course everyone was like, you can't pay all that money for a premium and then bench them. So it's just one of those things, and I'm struggling this week because I know that I would really like Grealish and I know I'd really like Martinelli, but I also know that I could just play March and move Rashford to the bench and get a bit more news on that situation before doing anything with Rashford. So I am finding this one unusually tough this week. I hate owning Bruno. I am kind of hoping that having Casemiro back and no Rashford makes him some sort of god again. But he really, in a way, he's been playing very much like Kane to me, where he's been dropping quite deep, creating the play, really getting those forward passes.
He's vital, but it doesn't.
He's just not really
points.
returning the points. And whilst I can see a goal here and there, I don't know about a haul from him at the moment. And I'm kind of fine this week to keep him just to see how that goes. But I'm also very aware that Forest are a lot better at home than they are away, and that could be a slightly trickier fixture for United than it looks on paper, really. And he's a lot of money to own when I don't have a lot of confidence in him, but I can see why people are keeping him because of the double. But there is a little bit of me that thinks this could be my opportunity maybe to get off him and free up a bit of cash. I can't get to Salah like Bethany can, unfortunately. But it could free up a bit of cash that would allow me then to potentially move Saka on to Salah a little bit down the line. And, maybe selling both Rashford and Fernandes would allow me the two players that I'd really like this week, both Martinelli and Grealish. And again, would give me more confidence then to move Saka on for Salah with having Martinelli in my team further down the line. So it's a kind of long-term move, but it is for a hit. And and therein lies the kind of dilemma. I can play very safe and just stick March in, and maybe if I wanted to potentially do a defender move just to slightly strengthen the team, or I could take a hit, So it's one of those weeks.
Will you want one of them back for 34?
I think if Rashford is fit and firing, then yes. But I don't think on current form, I don't think I would want Bruno. But then this is where the dilemma is, because if Bruno's going to carry on being the Bruno he has been for the last few weeks, even with the likes of Eriksen back in the team and Casemiro back in the team, then I don't think we need him personally in our teams. But if having those two players back does allow him the freedom to move into his more natural role, and I say that in a term of the role that we know him to play, as opposed to maybe what Ten Hag now wants him to be, because we don't know what that internal discussion has been. If it is that it's always been, we just need you to do your thing for now while people are injured and you can go back to being you when you get back, then fair enough. But if it's a case of, actually, you're doing very well right here, right now, we'll just keep you doing what you're doing, Martial can be the focus or whatever while these injuries are happening, then it's a lot of money for somebody. But of course, if Rashford was back, you'd want him back in your team for sure.
Yeah. I think it sounds sensible, like from what you're describing there. And the, you know, the players that you're bringing in, the hit will probably pay off as well. Like you've got Grealish and Martinelli that you're thinking about there. And I think you're free hitting in 32 maybe as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think there could potentially be a discussion around that because I don't currently have the third Brighton player at the moment because I stupidly sold a Stupinan for Chilwell when with that whole situation when we thought he was going to miss out. So I'm not all in on Brighton for that kind of blank, and that's where maybe just Rashford to Martinelli could work, because then it maybe leaves the option of not having to free hit in 32 on the table with a small hit.
I think having Martinelli as a because you've already got Saka, haven't you? So having Saka and Martinelli this week, I think, is quite a nice kind of differential almost, because I think most people have only hung on, unless they don't have a free to hit and they've had to plan. I think most people with a free hit have kind of only kept a maximum of one Arsenal asset, and I think they could go huge against West Ham.
Oh God, I do
this
hope
week. So
I need it for the confidence after Liverpool.
I think you can. I think you can definitely.
I mean, if it wasn't for Kane playing Bournemouth, I'm pretty sure I would have sold him this week, and I'm pretty sure I'd have got Salah in for Rashford. Well, in fact, I'm almost 100% sure that's just my move. What I would have done, I like if Kane had been pretty much anyone else, I think, in the league, maybe except Everton or Southampton, but like literally pretty much anyone else. And I think I would have just downgraded him and upgraded Rashford to Salah is probably what I would have done this week. Salah is my one real concern this week, I think. So I'll just have to buy him and captain him in all of my Sky teams. No, he's in there, to be fair, already. So yeah. But yeah, he is my biggest concern, and it's just frustrating that it's come a week too early, really, to lose Kane, because with that Rashford injury, it feels like a natural switch. So I think it's quite brave. I have seen a few people losing Watkins this week. Seeing as you're considering benching him, Bethany, do you think that's potentially a good idea?
Yeah, I think it could be. I mean, it depends on who you're going to. Like, are people moving him on to, like, say, Greenwood to, like, stay on the bench?
I think it's just literally
just money?
Just to free up the cash.
So I think if you've got no money and you really, like, if Salah's he's going to be a threat, like, you know that lots of people are going to own him and you can see him doing well. He's also good for the next few. It's not just a 1 week. Obviously, if you've got a free hit, he's then got the double and stuff. So I think that is a really worthwhile move, because I think I'm planning on moving Watkins on anyway in a week or two. I was going to go back to Isaac in part of my shuffling around of attackers to play the kind of fixtures or doubles to get back to Isaac for the Newcastle double when that comes. So I think their fixtures do get tougher, and obviously Newcastle's not necessarily an easy game, so I don't think he's somebody that you're desperate to have this week. It's probably a 6 point max, maybe 9 points if you include bonus. I don't think he's going to haul this week. So if it means you can get the player that you really want, that could, we know Salah even this season can still haul and get 2 goals or 3 goals or whatever. And I think it is definitely an option to consider.
Yeah, just quickly before we move on to Meera's team, PSB says benching Rashford makes sense, Nym. By the way, Bruno is playing deeper tonight as well, even without Rashford. Sabitzer playing at number 10 and already has a brace versus Sevilla, so that's interesting.
That's very interesting.
That is. Okay,
Oh,
cool.
wow.
Meera.
Wasn't expecting that.
No, I wasn't either.
That's a little bit worrying as a Bruno as a Bruno owner. Cool. I've got your team up on screen, Meera.
Amazing. So I'm a little bit sort of undecided whether I'm going to take a -4 this week or not. I think got a couple of, I wouldn't say problems that other than Rashford obviously being the obvious one, but I was generally happy with the team. Maddison was the standout that has failed to deliver over the past couple of weeks, and it has been so disappointing. I think those that went Barnes got some returns a couple of weeks ago, and I think maybe even last week or something. But yeah, Maddison seems like the obvious one that I'd want to take out just because they're playing Man City. But it's funny actually because he'll probably return, knowing my luck, with sort of taking out some of these what seemed like good picks anyway. But I'll definitely be playing both my Brighton mids, and I'm almost tempted to play Estupinian as well because Chelsea are not scoring at the moment, so maybe a good shout there. Not sure. So look, Maddison's probably going to make way. Everyone else I'm generally okay with. Chilwell's the other one that I'm sort of uncertain about, and I don't know if that's because it's Chelsea and they're just really underperforming at the moment and not really finding their groove, right? So it's probably going to be Maddison to either Grealish or Martinelli for me. And then Chilwell, I am strongly considering either a City defender or a Liverpool defender. And haven't quite decided, but I really like the look of how Trent was playing, and look, Diaz is looking really good as well. So from City side, so yeah, very tempted there. I don't have anyone City defense wise. I had Edison for a long time, and that didn't work out. He just kept letting in, at least one goal right towards the end of the match or something, and I gave up on him. And brought in, I think, Kepa at the time, and then sort of, ventured to Ward before I eventually wildcarded to
Oddly, about
De Gea.
the time that Kepa fell off the cliff.
Yeah, it's
Meera, what are you doing to me?
Yeah, I don't want to do something too drastic, but I've been hovering around the 10K sort of mark for quite a while now. It's been sort of in the 10K, I've been sort of 6K, 7K, 8, 9K. And then I've been sitting outside 10K for the last couple of weeks where it's been super frustrating just breaking into that. And so now I'm thinking, do I take a hit and take a punt on, a Trent or a Diaz or do something slightly different? I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be taking Maddison out. But yeah, I think I'll hold Rashford for a little while longer. I think a lot of people are talking about the whole, do we hold Rashford? Do we not hold Rashford? I think Rashford will start becoming a problem for me and my team 33 onwards. So I'm going to be free hitting in 32. So I'll cross that bridge. That's a future problem. Cross that bridge later. But for the time being, it's probably going to be Maddison out and likely Chilwell out as well.
You're in a slightly better position because you haven't got Shaw as well. So like, I know I've got Shaw, so like if I kept them both, that's 2 bench players. That you don't want to have to rely on only one bench player and end up playing potentially with like 10 or 9 players if something went wrong that week. So I think it's probably easier to hold Rashford if you haven't got anybody else you're already holding.
Yeah, definitely. And I sort of deliberated around the Botman, benching predicament as well. Botman, Newcastle and Villa are on fire at the moment. They're both, playing really, really well. Newcastle are all scoring as well. So if you have your, Villa defense likely to probably concede, and it's going to be the same with Newcastle as well. Watkins has been unstoppable at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so just out of curiosity, if you do switch Maddison, who will you drop to the bench in defence? Would it just be Chilwell? But if you're switching him as well, who do you then play?
Yeah, look at that. At that point, I'm probably going to be dropping Estupinian, to the bench. Yeah, and then I'll probably end up playing Trippier, either Trent Diaz, whoever I bring in there, and Gabriel. Yeah, that's at least what I'm thinking at the moment. But I think like double Newcastle defense has been awesome to have, like especially, there's been a couple of occasions where they've both, clean sheet points there. It's been brilliant. But I don't know if that's going to happen at home to Villa. So, yeah, let's see.
Cool. Okay, let's move on to our 1 week punt game.
Awesome.
Cool.
So, for those of you that don't know what the 1 week punt game is, we have been picking a punt pick for just 1 week, and they're under 10% owned. And look, at the moment, Nym is absolutely smashing it. So Nym, I think you had Isaac last time, and
I did.
He got two goals, was it, or was it sort of a goal and an assist? I can't remember.
2 goals.
But
yeah,
fantastic. So Nym's on 23 points. I'm on 16 points. I picked Solanke last time and got 0, so nada over there. And our guest has actually, the audience has been doing really, really well as well. So I think they've had 17 points. So yeah, I'm definitely sort of falling behind there. I'd like to think that Ellie was maybe a little bit behind me as well. I'm not sure. But look, you get to participate if this is the first time you're sort of hearing about the 1 week punt. And of course, Bethany, our guest, will participate as well. And so, yeah, let's go to our 1 week punts.
Cool. Okay. And just for the whilst we're trying to figure out when we'll be able to stream and things like that, and whether we'll be able to have guests, what we do this week, I think, is just add Bethany's score with your guys' choice. So give us a couple of choices in the chat of who you think your 1 week punt will be, and we'll choose one. We might even get a poll if we get enough people saying, and then we'll add them together and we'll divide them by 2. And so then we'll have a cool. Okay, Bethany, chat us through your 1 week punt.
So my 1 week punt feels a bit cheating, because he's like the most informed player if you go on the app. But at the time of when I picked, I haven't looked today, but I know yesterday he was still only about 8% owned. So I went for Grealish. He did really well for me last week. He's been in form. He seems to be in Pep's good books. Obviously, Foden's out at the minute, so there's less rotation, which is often a worry when you pick Man City players. He's playing against the Leicester team, who are terrible. So yeah, that's why Grealish is my my punt this week.
PSV's already got an early punt in with Pedro Porro. So if you guys don't want it to be Pedro Porro, you need to get some more names in the chat. I think Sonny was your pick last time, and he got you guys an assist. So you've not done too badly. I've gone with Wilson, as you can see. This is a bit of a risk, as we all know, because his minutes are just all over the place at the moment. That's probably why he's just 3.4% owned. He hasn't played 90 minutes since game week 22 with a combination of injury and rotation. However, in the 118 minutes that he has played since game week 29, he has scored 3 goals and got 1 assist. Now, he is up against a Villa defence that has been better of late, so I know I'm sounding a bit mad here because they've got like 3 clean sheets in the last 4 game weeks or something. But I'm not about the easy route here. You know me, guys.
I feel like what you're doing is what Ellie was doing, picking all the Brighton picks, and now you're running through all the Newcastle ones.
Yeah, just go through all the Newcastle team. Yeah, but for the sake of getting to use my favourite GIF, whether it's being I'm glad I've got my Wilson back or the proper Wilson GIF, then he is my guy this week for sure. So what about yourself, Mez?
Look, I've gone with Michael Olise, and I guess everyone's talking about him at the moment as well as some of the other Palace players. And look, he managed to get a hat-trick of assists away against Leeds as well. So yeah, that's been pretty awesome. I think he's had the highest, second highest or something like that, goal involvement as well. Loads of big chances, maybe 3 or 4 or something like that. Good key passes as well. So he just seems to be across a lot, and he's been taking, I think I only caught the highlights of the Palace match, and I think Diane's just left the chat, so it's a shame because she's a massive Palace supporter.
I think
But he's been
McDavis
taking the
might be with
corners.
us. He might be
Oh,
able to.
awesome. Okay. And they've got a really good fixture run coming up as well. So they're playing Southampton away. Southampton have been absolutely rubbish, as well. So yeah, if they can go to Leeds and do something like that under Hodgson, yeah, it's so interesting to see how that plot has thickened after losing Vieira. But yeah, it is what it is as well. So yeah, I reckon there's a good fixture run coming. Probably worth picking up a Palace midfielder if you do have a midfielder spot available just for 1 week maybe. But Eze is a close sort of, I would say, contender as well with that one, but there's not much between them from looking at their stats. So yeah, I think Olise seems to be getting on behind everything, so yeah, go for it. If that's an option for you. And did I read something about Arteta being interested in Olise as being a backup for Saka? Yeah, on the right there. So that's an option as well.
I think David said, "Don't look at us; you'll scare them off."
Yeah, so let's see. Maybe my luck will turn and I can make up some points this week.
Yeah, and you're not the only one looking at him. He was 0.8, I think, when you gave me the punt earlier on in the week. So he's 1.2 now. People are definitely thinking about it. So just an update on the Bruno situation. He did get an assist for one of the Sabitzer goals, but he was taken off around 60 minutes for Eriksen. So I don't know what we can make with that, whether that means good things, that he's rested now,
sure.
or more bad things, that he might just come off a bit earlier for Eriksen for the next couple of weeks. Who knows? Okay. Well, it's looking much like Pedro Porro is going up with Grealish this week as the one we bunked, because we've only had BSB giving a suggestion. So that's who we're going to stick with, Grealish, and whatever points they get, we will add them up and have them and add them towards the total for guest and chat.
Got a Darwin in there as well. I think we should give everyone like 10 seconds to put something in.
Okay, whatever the next name is.
Yeah,
that can be the punt. And have we got any questions while we're doing that? PSVA said, non-FPL question: which club do you support, Bethany?
Oh, this is a bit of an awkward question. So I am a massive football fan without a club.
Ooh.
So I grew up in the Lakes, and my parents' family aren't football fans. So there was no it was not like an obvious big team to support, and I wasn't going to games or anything. I just loved the game, so I'd watch it.
What's the Lakes?
Oh, the Lake District.
That doesn't... Okay.
Oh, sorry, the Lake District. So like northwest England, but so Newcastle would be like my closest big city. The big city. Yeah, it's
I know what it is. I know what they both are.
But yeah, so I just got into football. Used to just originally, I guess initially, I used to play as a kid and used to watch England play and stuff, and then kind of gradually got into watching the Premier League games. And so I don't have a club. I just kind of pick a few clubs each season that I fancy, generally the underdogs. So
you're an Arsenal fan this year, right?
So this year I'm an Arsenal fan.
Yes, get in.
So I have a few. So this year it will be Arsenal, because I'm loving the fact that it's not Man City just running away with the league. I'm loving Brighton and how far they've come, and I'm loving Newcastle and how far they've come. So those are kind of the three that I'm supporting, but it's quite nice because it means it doesn't affect any of my FPL decisions. I'm not biased against my club or when other teams are playing my club. So yeah, it's a bit of an odd one, but there we go.
I like it. That's so good. Yeah, that's nice. So good. I think because I've only been playing FPL for a short time, I don't have any biases when I'm picking. I've gone without Liverpool players most of this season.
Yeah. No, that's fair. So the next name that came in was Jesus, but we did get a flurry of other names after that. We got an Eze and a Martial as well.
Funny what happens when you give everyone a deadline. 10 seconds, go.
I know. But the only double up we have had is Jesus. So I think we'll have to make it Jesus. Which is slightly terrifying for both myself and Mez, because Grealish and Jesus' points added together, even though they're going to get halved, sounds like it could very well just smash our points out the bag. But benefit of the doubt and all that. Okay, so Jesus and Grealish, they are the
Jesus is 27% owned. Just so.
Oh, so you can't have him.
Overall.
You can't have him. Get off. You can't have him. So we're back to Porro then.
Wait, there's the Martial, like Franz mentioned Martial.
Yeah, there's a Martial.
That's actually not bad. That's not a bad fit. He's been back and he's got some returns as well.
We'll let Bethany choose. Who would you like to go with your...
I'd go Martial.
To double up your score.
Okay. Yeah, to double
Martial, I think.
Right, okay, cool. Right. And with that, thank you everyone for joining us. It's been great to have all of your support in the chat tonight. Please do like and subscribe and hit that notification bell to know when we're going live next. As I explained at the beginning, please bear with us whilst myself and Meera try and sort out how we're going to go forward with our time zones. It may be a bit of a seasonal switch up where we do half of the season at night and then this part of the season during the day, half a year on, half a year off in the evening and the morning. But let us know what you think.
And the late show.
Yes, works so well. With that, Bethany, please let us, the lovely people, know where they can find you.
So I am on Twitter and my username has nothing to do with FPL, sorry. It's me, Bethany, and then an X, because I was about 13 when I made my Twitter and I haven't changed it.
I love that. It's great. Meera.
Yes, do follow me.
Yes, do follow. No, Bethany's doing really well. Do make sure you check her out. And
she's not 13.
The link to her Twitter handle is in the description below as well if you need it. So Meera, please tell the Nym fam where they can find you on Twitter exclusively.
Yeah, that's right. I'm FPL Mez on Twitter, Mez8 even, and yeah, I'm exclusively on Twitter.
Cool. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening, guys. Until next time, Nym free out.